Let's go around the table, and you can all tell me whom you're having affairs with.
How do you get your New York lady friends to tell you everything?
I figure out what they need, and I give it to them.
Have you heard about Tracy?
Having her eyes done.
Bill is having an affair.
No.
What?
Everybody knows that.
Well, I'm sure they do now.
So it sounded like when you found out there was a competing project that you were almost excited. You were kind of, the press notes made it sound like you were kind of, bring it on, let's see what you do, and you'll see what I do.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I wasn't worried, though, because I knew that I felt the stories were going to be very different, because I knew how I wanted to tell the story in terms of emphasizing the comedy of the situation and the glamour of New York. And most importantly, I knew I had my own theory about what went wrong in Truman's life, and I believed that it was the relationship he formed with Perry Smith.
But what? Either it is or it isn't.
You're not understanding. I want to bring fictional techniques to a non-fiction story.
What fictional techniques? The ones where you make stuff up?
I think there's so many points of view on this story that you could go on for another 6 or 7 films. No one really knows the truth, because I've heard things that are completely contrary to what he wrote in the book, that come from people who are in the law enforcement and were there at that time at the place where Perry was being held. So again, everyone's got their point of view based on their life experiences, and that's what's so fascinating about this.
What is your stupid point?
That you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. The truth is enough.
I must say, I don't appreciate this lecture from you, of all people. Mockingbird was based on true things, and you sure improved that.
Right. It's a novel. Reportage means recreating, not creating.
This is a new kind of reportage.
He was such a unique character. What was maybe the most challenging part of trying to define him?
Always the voice was kind of a worry, because you just couldn't work out how and why he spoke like that. And how to find a way of speaking that didn't alienate the audience, that made the audience just think, oh, he's a laughingstock. Because the fact of the matter is, when you watch him on those old chat shows, people did always snigger at his voice all through his life.
It's illogical to suppose there's only one killer. The Clutters were tied up. To tie them up, he'd have to put his gun down. Once he put the gun down, the Clutters would run for the hills.
I don't believe I know who you are. Or what.
So I was very concerned to try and find a way of being in control of the voice so that I could find different moods for it. So it wasn't just laughable the whole time, but that it could express tenderness and you know, and the huge well of sadness that he feels increasingly as the film wears on.
You know, before he killed the Clutter boy, he put a pillow under his head, and he wouldn't let Dick rape the girl.
He's not all kind.
Jack's right. After these demonstrations of gentility, he did shoot them dead.
And cut the old man's throat.
So there's something... I can't quite put my finger on it. It seems insane to say that he's tender, but he does have the tender and the terrible side by side inside him. He's very...
The fame, the lifestyle, the decadence of it, you know, which inevitably was his downfall. And his loss of all his friends, and the things that he did to lose those friends. You see that happening all the time, and no one can prepare you for fame, and no one can teach you how to handle it when it goes away.
But you know, if your dream is to be an artist and to tell a story that you really believe you have a way of telling, it can take a lot out of you. It's very gratifying at the same time when it's finished and you can see it or read it or hear it, whatever it is. But, you know, to make something great, you have to take a lot out of yourself and put it into it.
All my mother ever wanted was to be a Park Avenue lady. Which isn't easy when you're in Alabama with no money. So she married my father to get out. But before they could go, I came. So she deserted me, leaving me with my aunts. And when my father failed to deliver her to Park Avenue, she deserted him too.
You know, you think of Truman Capote, all the things he was accused of over his life, he was never accused of not being interesting enough.
Infamous.